Alrighty folks, hello. It is Tuesday, it is time for some more 40k rantage. A positive one today, or one that's kind of all over the place. We will get into that in a minute. Exile Fest is coming up. We are almost a month away, literally like a month and a day away from the big event on June the 21st, 2025. It is a one-page rules tournament held right here in Liverpool at Just Play Games. An amazing, amazing space. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have a night out afterwards where we all go for a few drinks. I will, of course, be there. We have, I think, 14, 15 people signed up just for the tournament at this point, with more heading there on the day just to have wax lyrical, have a little talk to people, maybe have a drink or two, right? You don't need to come with an army. All you need to do is send me an email to northernexileevents@gmail.com. That is northernexileevents@gmail.com. If you're coming with an army to play, tell me what army you're playing, and give me your 2,000 point list of Grimdark Future one-page rules models, whatever it is you're bringing, and you'll be entered into the tournament. If you're not coming to the tournament, just tell me who you are and give us your phone number on there, and I'll be able to text you nearer on the day to make sure that you're all right, and, you know, if you're not there or whatever. You know, that kind of a thing. Not using it to stalk you, I promise. But that's just what a stalker would say, of course. Anyway, hope to see you all there. It's going to be an awesome day. I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. So if you're interested, email down below and, you know, have a chat with me. And I'll see you then. Alrighty. Let's get on to today's rant. And again, we have the cyberpunk background because I've not recorded any B-roll yet with the new PC setup. But I will do. It is on the docket for this week. Alright. So the subject for today is Warhammer 40,000 needs normal blokes. I've done similar videos in the past on Warhammer 40,000 needs more dads, but I think that one was kind of lost in translation because a lot of people went, I've already got a good dad, don't really need any more, that kind of a thing. Well, maybe you do need more normal blokes though, but to get in there, I need to discuss the difference between normal blokes and nerds, right? Now, this isn't a takedown, I'll say this later on too, but this isn't a takedown against people who are not normal, right? Who are in the hobby with autism or Asperger's or anything like that going on in their lives, right? But what a nerd is somebody who doesn't really fit the social norms. He's someone who looks a bit, you know, acts a bit odd, doesn't really fit in, and he fits in Warhammer 40k. He fits in this space. He's found this place where he fits in and he's comfortable, right? A normal bloke I would discuss as somebody like me, right? A normal average lad walking about the place, you know, likes Warhammer, likes everything that there is to do with it, but is, you know, normally well adjusted, has a missus and kids and a job, things like that, right? And you're coming into the hobby and these two people are coexisting in this hobby space, right? Which is essentially what is happening here. So as a normal bloke, we've all been there, right? You are at the local store, and you may be playing a game, browsing some models, things like that. You're having a good time in the local store. And you look up. You notice those around you are acting rather strangely. They shout odd things at odd moments. Quotes you don't really understand. A lot of them maybe have not washed. They smell a bit bad. A few look like they are grimacing through their games because it forces them to interact with other humans. And you think to yourself, what am I even doing here? That's the experience of a normal man in a Games Workshop store or in a hobby store. And it happens at least once every time you go in. I know a lot of you are sitting there nodding along, going, yeah, this has happened to me nearly every time I'm in a hobby space. I look around and go, dude, am I doing the right thing here? I've got responsibilities. What is going on? I am the alien here, you know? This is not an uncommon feeling in the hobby, man. You are a normal bloke doing Warhammer. But this video is not an attack on people who are more divergent than others in terms of normality in the hobby. It's a call to arms for those normies who take part in our hobby to put an arm around others and bring said folks into the fold. Thing is though, when I argue this point, there is a real disconnect between this argument and reality, however, in that most people see injecting normal people into the hobby, or inviting them in, to be taking the hobby into the mainstream. Those two are not the same. I hear this all the time, it's not even close. All of the time. people say, well, you know, normal people coming in, you know, you're making it more mainstream, you're making it so that, you know, people like me are sequestered out of the hobby and we don't get to be here anymore. Dude, couldn't be further from the truth, okay? Games Workshop giving the rights to Amazon, that's taking the hobby into mainstream. Having a normal dude with a leather jacket, maybe who works as a lawyer, come into your hobby is not taking the hobby mainstream. That's a normal person taking an interest in the hobby you've built. A lot of normal blokes heading into the hobby are doing so because they are attracted to the grim, dark nature of it, the scale of it, the expression they can give to it through their painting and army building. When you think about it, Warhammer is an odd thing to do. Not everybody will get it, but those that do are absolutely precious. Alright? Most of these dudes will be working jobs as lawyers, as doctors, as taxi drivers, barmen, whatever. They're going out on dates, they're doing other things, but they've seen something in 40k that speaks to them. And that's incredibly important. That's amazing, right? They're sitting there going, do you know what? This is kind of for me. I want to go check this out. That is a compliment to the hobby you've built. Even if you're a neurodivergent person, even if you've got autism, even if you've got behavioural problems, doesn't matter. The hobby you've been involved in building has attracted somebody who you should be learning from. Let's rip the band-aid off though, shall we? The average hobbyist, let's be honest, lives up to the caricature at times. And you know what that is, right? They're awkward in it. Dude, you've got it in your mind, haven't you, right now? When I say, think of a 40k hobbyist meme, you've got it in your head, haven't you? You know what I'm talking about. Awkward in social interactions, not smelling particularly nice, right? There's always that tournament arse smell. It won't be at Exile Fest, I'm telling you that, right? But you can always, you know, the arse smell when you walk into a tournament sometimes, right? BDBO. Maybe they're just a bit odd, or they have a deal. The very mildest of 40k players who's, you know, a nerd will have a deal. And you know what I mean when I say that? When you meet them, you can tell there is something off here. You can't put your finger on what it is, but it's there. There's something missing. The guy can look completely normal, right? There's no obvious tells, but there's something going on. You can just tell. It might be a behavioural tick. It might be, you know, something that they say or do, but there's something off. They don't look comfortable in their own skin. They don't look like they belong, even though they kind of do. As a normal bloke, it is important to bring these guys through, though. To expose them to normality. To sand down those rough edges through social repetitions, social reps. Just like working on muscle definition at the gym. That is your role here. That's not to say that people with autism or with social quirks or from sheltered upbringings are not good people. Far from it, dude. That's not what I'm saying, right? A lot of you will be sitting here feeling attacked by this. Dude, that's not what I'm saying at all. The fact remains that almost every autistic person I know, and I know a lot of them, want help sanding down those rough edges with understanding. I have yet to meet anybody who is involved in a hobby and has a deal, quote-unquote, to not want to work on it, right? I don't know any self-righteous autistic people who go, no, you need to bow down and acquiesce to everything that I do all the time. All of them that I know, without contest, without, you know, any sort of outlaying person, all of them that I know, with no exceptions, want help. Being average, being normal, right? The feeling of going to a place and acting and feeling that you don't belong is shitty. And even normal blokes would have come across that in their time. You may have gone to a bar, you may have been a part of a social circle, you may have been, you know, sitting at a restaurant with your girlfriend and her friends. You just feel like you're a shark living on a mountain. You feel like you shouldn't be there. Like, what the hell's going on here, right? You're out of place. Well, imagine feeling that feeling all of the fucking time. You now know what it's like to be a nerd, okay? And a lot of the nerds out there, whilst they may say, hey, and this is something I campaign against, utterly, You know when people say to you, oh, you're a special snowflake, you're a special flower, and the world needs to acquiesce to you. You know, the world needs to get used to you and how unique you are. That's bullshit, lads. Lads, that's bullshit. Don't listen to anybody who tells you that. You do need to conform. You do need to be normalized. You do need to be in the modern world. Sorry. That's just how it works. Now, if you want to be sitting in a basement on your own, or the equivalent of on your own, right, and having a miserable life, that's up to you, and you can take their advice and run with it. Yeah, the world needs to acquiesce to you and your attitude. All right, fine, all right? But I've said this before on the channel, I'll say it again, never, ever, ever, ever use any sort of mental issue, any sort of autism, any sort of issue or deal you might have as an excuse for being a prick. Doesn't wash with me. Just doesn't wash. I hold you to the same standards as everybody else, and you know what? Most autistic people that I know, no, not most, all of the autistic people I know, they don't thank me for it, but they at the very same time, if it comes up, they'll go, yeah, dude, that's good. Just treat me like everybody else. Hold me to the same standards. It's the only way I'll learn. I learn through examples because I'm autistic. That's what I do, right? If you treat me different to everybody else, something in my brain will go, hey, I'm allowed to act like a prick and I'll get away with it, or I'm allowed to act like a prick because that's what I'm meant to be doing in life and other people are meant to acquiesce to my behavior patterns. That's not how it's going to work, and you're not going to get along in life, right? This channel is about self-betterment, and normal blokes are needed in the hobby to make sure that the other 80 to 90% of the people in this hobby who have some sort of deal, it could be very high functioning autism, Asperger's, Downs, whatever it is, dude. We are here to make sure that those people are brought into the fold and exposed to normality. That's what we are here for, and that's why it's so important that they be here, right? But on the flip side, we've given some guys who are maybe not normal, the nerds in here, we've given them a bit of tough love. But I'd like to come at this with a bit more understanding as well, because there are certain forms that need to be understood. Normal people, normal blokes out there, you need to listen to what I'm about to say. There is a real resentment from those who are in the hobby that have these issues towards normal folks heading into the space. And it's understandable. Look at it this way. A few lads who have been picked on their entire lives for being different. They may have autism, behavioural quirks, depression, Downs, whatever it is. They now see people who remind them of those bullies, those tormentors that were in their earlier lives, entering into the hobby with no consequences, right? Nobody, if you're a normal bloke and you're one of the guys who reminds these blokes that they were picked on as a kid, right? Now, let's name him Dave, right? We're going to rehabilitate Dave here. Let's name this nerd Dave. Dave has high-functioning autism. He's a bloke who, in school, was a bit odd. He had his friends, sure, but he was also picked on by all the normal kids because he was a bit different. He may have not looked that different, but he acted a little bit different, and he got absolutely roasted all the time, to the point that it kind of messed with his self-esteem, right? Kind of fucked with him a little bit. And he's had to go to therapy. Well, maybe he hasn't. Maybe he's worked through it. But it's still been a big factor in his life that when he was a kid, he got picked on a lot, and it's really fucked with his brain. Then he finds Warhammer 40,000. He finds a place to belong. He finds a place where other people are like him. And he has a really good time. And he uses it as a sort of mental scaffolding to start rebuilding who he is. With his own friends who have their own quirks and needs. Right? Their own deals. He does this for years, and then he sees somebody normal come into his hobby. And he thinks back to all of the things that he missed out on. Was he allowed to join the school sports team? No. Was he allowed to go on any dates? No. Was he allowed to hang out with other people at the school? No. Because they excluded him for being different. Right? But in 40k, in Warhammer, he's not different. Dave's normal. Dave's one of the normal ones. And then he sees an actual normal person join the hobby, and they are accepted without question. Can you understand why Dave would feel resentment? Can you understand why Dave would look at that person and go, fuck this guy? Even if this person wasn't one of the ones who was having a go at him when he was in school, he will attribute all of those negative experiences to that normal bloke, to that tourist, quote unquote, as he calls them, coming into the hobby. Can you understand his bitterness now? Right? It took me a long time to think this way. Some of it was through the channel as well. I say it all the time. I learned so many things from doing this channel. I do. And there are a lot of opinions that I used to have on many things in life that have changed through you guys, interacting with you on the channel, going back and forth all the time. Right? But now, Dave sees people who reminded him of those bullies entering the hobby. This is Dave's place to feel included and safe. But when they hear others bleating on about safe spaces, and they see their hobby being infiltrated by normies who remind them of their own bullies, it is bound to cause some resentment. You need to understand why that is, and approach things on Dave's level. If you're normal, coming into the hobby, okay, don't put up with rudeness, don't put up with bullshit, right? If you get any nonsense, give it back to them, absolutely. But when you approach a hobby like this, you need to gatekeep your own attitude. You need to come in and realise that the people here who have built it were probably picked on by people who looked a lot like you. It's harsh, but it's simple. It's there, right? You need to understand they built this place. The weirdos. They built this. They wrote about it. They did the artwork. They sculpted the models. They paid for the models. They built them. They painted them. They did the tournaments. They did the events. All of these things were built by nerds who weren't liked by other people, right? If you've ever seen how a Games Workshop manager needs to be taught to act like a normal human being, you will know what I'm talking about. They are still nerds. And by the way, guys, nobody can be as cruel as a nerd to other nerds. Just remember that too. Cliques form a nerddom faster than anywhere else in human interaction. I truly believe that. I absolutely, truly believe that. Anybody who's been to a Games Workshop manager's meeting, again, will know what I'm talking about. Alright? So when they see normal people coming into the hobby, scot-free, with no gatekeeping whatsoever, with no issues whatsoever, and what's more, can you imagine being Dave, seeing one of these people who remind you of one of your bullies come in, and then they thrive? It took Dave years to begin to thrive in the hobby, but then this person just takes to it like a duck to water and gets away with it, right? Now, there's a thing called the Logan Paul effect in wrestling right now, okay? I told you, 40k and wrestling are the same thing. I will die on that hill. It's going to be in most of my videos. A lot of people really hate Logan Paul for really good reasons. Mainly because he's a massive cunt. But on the flip side of that, Logan Paul has started to be a wrestler, right? And everybody was expecting him to fall flat on his face. A lot of the guys there, like Karrion Kross, Killer Kross, people like that, who've worked their asses off for years to get better at wrestling and to be really good on the mic and in the ring, see Logan Paul get handed all of these opportunities and they want him to fail. They want him to fail because they need him to fail. Because it's like, how dare this guy just bypass all the shit that we needed to do? Do you know what's really terrible, though? Logan Paul's really good at wrestling, naturally. And that's the worst bit. That's the worst bit. He's really good at it. And so a lot of wrestlers are going, that's even worse. Fuck this guy, right? Alright? That's how nerds feel watching normal people come into their hobby and take to it like a duck to water. That's how they feel. This is a place for me to feel safe. This is a place for me to have a good time. And not only is it being infiltrated by these normal blokes, but they're coming into it and having a better time than me, quicker than me. When I had to bow down to these people when I was in high school, fuck these guys. That's where the resentment comes from. And you need to understand it. It's imperative, as normal blokes, that you understand that resentment. Alright, moving on. I'm on both sides of this, by the way. I'm a normal bloke, but I've also felt that resentment to guys who are better looking than me, to guys who are richer than me, to guys who have more in life than me and don't have the social quirks that I do, because I'm a bit autistic myself, right? This is why I've done the channel. I've got a foot in both camps, right? I felt the resentment, and I in both ways. I've been resentful of other people coming into the hobby who are normal, who are handsome, who are this or that, right? And I've been resented by other people. Maybe I'm more normal than them. Maybe they think I'm better looking than them. Maybe they think I've got a better job than them, right? There are levels of nerddom here. If we're looking at number 10 being uber nerd with all of the issues that we discussed here, right? I'm at like a number 3, right? So a guy who's at level 1 or 2, I'm going to be jealous of them, right? But everybody below that 4, 5, 6, 7, they're going to look at me and go, this normal guy, this normal piece of shit, coming into my hobby, taking to it so easily, right? Making all these friends. Fuck him. It's a spectrum, right? Cool. But you need to understand and approach it with that understanding if we're going to make a go of this. If we're going to make a go at normalizing a lot of people in the hobby and taking them with us. Okay? Those guys on rank 1 and 2 need to be looking at guys like me and saying, hey dude, let's go for a drink. Let's talk about life. Right? Let's do this. I need to be looking at guys who are on level 4 or 5 or 6 and going, hey guys, come on. Let's go for a pint. Right? Let's go for a meal or something. Let's do something called Exile Fest together. Do you know what I'm saying? 40k, and I can't stress this enough, needs normal blokes with families, jobs, responsibilities, and good ethics to be a part of this hobby. There is no hobby in the world, even video games, that has as many lonely and lost young men forming a huge part of its ecosystem as Warhammer 40,000. It's just a fact. It's an absolute fact. Alright? There may be more people who are maladjusted in video games, but there's more people playing video games in general. Do you know what I mean? I'm talking percentages here. The vast majority of people playing Warhammer 40,000 are lonely, lost young men. That's a fucking fact. It just is. Alright? I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. There are a lot of normies in here now, yeah, but there's a hell of a lot more guys who are going silent. You may listen to Hobby Nightmares and go, hey, most of these guys sound normal. Dude, those are the guys who are sticking their head above the parapet. How many people do you think have had a Hobby Nightmare experience who don't write into the show? Okay? For every 100 people who have a Hobby Nightmare, maybe one of them will write into my show if they've seen my show before. The same thing goes for normies and guys who are lonely and lost in the hobby. The vast majority of people who are guys who are lonely, lost young men, or even older men in the hobby will vastly outnumber the ones who are vocal and out there and doing cool things. Without normal blokes heading in here with respect and showing the way, we risk leaving those lost men behind, sitting in their dark rooms, painting their toy soldiers. So the next time you are in a hobby store or environment, if you're a normie, lay out that hand and ask a few of those lads to come for a pint or a slice of pizza. Most may say no out of nervousness, but have an open invitation there for next time. The ones that say yes are looking for an opportunity to be normal themselves. Being normal isn't terrible. It isn't some sort of thing where you lose your identity, right? Being normal is shaving down the hard-edged pieces of your personality so you can get along in life better. We are conditioned these days to embrace how different we are and say, oh, the world needs to, the world needs to support you and being this special little flower. Does it, fuck, mate? No, you need to conform to the world, because the vast majority of people out there, it's not their responsibility to look after you. It's your responsibility to look after you, and your mind is your own property, and by the way, it belongs to you. It does what you tell it to do. I'm serious. Okay? It's not an excuse to be a prick. Lay it out there. Come together, lay it out there, and take each other for a pint every once in a while. Go and play a game at somebody's house every once in a while. Listen to the guys around you that know more than you. Alright? Exile Fest is going to be one of those times, which is why I'm so up for promoting it. All of you guys need to get to this event. Talk to each other. Even if you're not playing, have a good time. Socialize. Have a few drinks. Right? Enjoy yourself. That's what we're here to do. We're here to take everybody and put them on that baseline. Everybody should be hovering around a 6 or a 7 out of 10. Right? the guys who are on a 9 or a 10 need to be bringing up the guys who are 1 and 2s, right? Everybody needs to be working together in this. I'll be there doing my part, alright? Anyway, I love you a long time. That was my hobby rant for the day, my 40k rant. I'll be back tomorrow with some more hobby nightmares, and on Thursday for some more 40k rantage, where we will be discussing revisiting a video from back in the day, because I've gotten a lot of responses to this when I did a prompt the other day. And that was, which games in your hobby store, as managers, produces the worst customers, the worst fans, right? Which game in your hobby store has the worst fans? We'll be doing that on Thursday. Love you a long time. I'll speak to you very, very, very soon, and have a good one. Bye now.